getting this started, I'm going to say good afternoon. How's your day going, aside from talking about yourself and raise your hand a lot?
No, no, no. You know what? You're the first one. So you're gonna have a lot of fun with me. I today it's been a great day. So I'm excited. I haven't talked about raise your hand in a minute.
Sure.
So I'm
So the
very excited to
Gia,
see what you want to know.
well, the Gia character, how much of Gia is there in you, the human being?
A lot. I think that, there's no way for you to be any role if you don't connect to it personally. I think, at least for me. Like I feel like every role that I've gotten is because it's very similar to me in some way or form. And with the Gia, I was even thinking to myself recently, like at that time, I was going through so many things that she dealt with in the movie.
Hmm.
Like, for example, I had a boyfriend at the time who cheated on me. So even that was like so real to me. And kind of like finding your voice and that process and being a Latina and like, so I just felt very connected to the role.
When did you film this versus Can You Feel the Beat or Sneakerheads?
Well, actually, we shot Raise Your Hand 9 years ago.
Wow. Okay. That took just a little bit of time to go wide
A little bit
release.
of time. No, that's what happens when, with indie films.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get to find your people, but I hope that when people watch this film, they can connect just as much. And I want to ask you, were you able to connect to the film even today? It was released, 9 years after the actual shoot dates.
Sure. I mean, throwbacks to the 1990s, always interesting to me. When it's a premise that isn't so much about social media, when people had CDs and people actually watched TV and things like that.
I miss
That's
those
how it
times.
connected.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So it's really interesting I want my audience and my fans to be able to watch Can You Feel the Beat? And then also raise your hand and
Hmm.
kind of like compare like even my growth as an actress.
Sure.
You know,
So
I, I'm excited to see what people say.
Can You Feel the Beat? Very 80s centric, this 90s centric. So do you have a decades to-do list checklist?
That's I think so. At this point I do. Now I think I need to do the 70s, maybe the 20s.
Yeah.
But I would love to do Cleopatra. I mean, I'm Latina. I don't know if like could do that, but I would love to play some like Egyptian princess or something like that.
Anything is possible. But as you mentioned, this film being made or filmed so long ago, did you
Mm.
have representation? Was it a traditional casting situation?
Yeah, I actually have the same people that have been managing me and representing me. Yeah. Um, but this casting was really interesting because I got to play a lot. I went to the audition with Jess, the director, and
Hmm.
I remember even in that time, I felt so connected to this film that to me, it wasn't about acting, it was just about living it.
Hmm.
And so I remember the process. I was so invested and I gave so much of me even at that time because I felt like I understood Gia so much. And I don't know if you know this, but Gia is kind of based on the director's life story.
That I didn't know. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So there's a lot of things that, I had the privilege to, this was my first film ever, like as a lead, as the number one on a call
The number
sheet.
one, yeah.
Right. But having Jess guide me through the process, not only as a actress, director type of, I don't know how to call it, like, not only as an actor, but also as a person, as psychologically. Like
Hmm.
she really grabbed my hand and guided me through the process.
Had you worked with anyone from this production before landing the role of Gia?
No, no.
Hmm. So the reason I'm asking about that is a lot of films that have a big budget, they do chemistry tests and chemistry reads, and the people have the time to hang out to see if they vibe. Was there time for any of that with Raise Your Hand?
Yes. Well, we had a chemistry read with Hanani, the other actress who plays Leela.
Hmm.
We actually did. I actually, this was the craziest experience for me because I think I tested with maybe five other girls, but the room was filled with like 10 Leelas and 10 Gias, I think.
Hmm.
And so the moment I acted with with Hanani, it just felt like it was it. Like there was just this magic. Until this day, we're friends. We
Hmm.
support each other in every step and everything that we do. We're like always like just really happy for one another.
So when this film was made, those 10 or so years ago, that was the early days of Instagram. Were you on Instagram back then?
Not in the same way I am today. It's changed. Life has changed so much since the pandemic.
Sure.
Back then, I don't think that Instagram was as important as it is today. I'm still managing it. I think that, as actors, we're kind of like trying to figure out what's the best way to use social media to advance our careers and market our films. But also, I feel like people are very interested in like also getting to know you as a person.
Hmm.
Don't you think?
Well, sure. And then plus you've also had success representing brands as being a personality besides the on-screen stuff. Was that the all along goal for you to also host and present?
No, no, it was never. I've always wanted to be a big celebrity. Like you, and I'm saying this like as a kid, I was
Air
like
quotes.
8 years
Yeah.
old,
Yeah.
like I want to be a superstar one day.
Yeah.
So I always would, see people like J-Lo and I'm like, oh my God, I want to be like J-Lo. So in a way, it's been happening little by little. And also in the pandemic, there was nothing happening.
Yeah.
So I literally had to find a way to make money. And social media became that for me.
Well done. So, again, Raise Your Hand. To us, it's new. To you, it's a little bit of a throwback. But are we
Mhm.
allowed to know what's next? Because IMDb shows a lot of things for you, but sometimes you don't know if those are things that didn't get made or there's secrets or that kind of a thing.
Well, right now, actually, I have two films that I haven't started yet that I'm gonna be working on in July and August.
Hmm.
One Puerto Rican film,
Hmm.
and technically the other one is also a Puerto Rican film, but with an American team. So I can't say much yet, unfortunately, but I'm also working on music. So I'm gonna be releasing a new single. It's gonna be called Rojo Trending, which is red trending, if you wanna translate it in English.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm also focused on doing more music, and it's crazy because Can You Feel the Beat in a way did that for me. It taught me a lot about the music industry, and I'm also exploring it. I've been like kind of like trying it out for the last 3 years, and now I'm finally about to release a bunch of singles and hopefully an album soon.
So it sounds like there's basically four different careers going on at the same time. You can tell me if I'm wrong. There's the English speaking acting roles, there's the Spanish speaking acting roles, there's the influencing and social media content curation, and then there's also the actual musical career.
Yes.
So,
Yes, and
you're,
I'm trying to merge them all.
yeah,
Um,
as a superstar.
Fortunately, yeah, right, right. That's because of my 8-year-old self. So that's her to blame. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
I'm just following whatever I said that I was gonna do. And you know what? I talk a lot about my ADHD. I think it's part of it. I think it's part of my creativity.
Hmm.
And I get bored easily, so I need to do a lot of things at the same time to feel happy.
It's your superpower. Embrace your weaknesses or what seem as weaknesses because they may actually be superpowers in your
Amen. I
case.
agree.
And my last question for you related to music. What's the last concert that you went to for fun? Not because you were live streaming for it or, being paid to be there.
I would say Bad Bunny, Verano Sin Ti, absolutely, and Carol G's. So here in Puerto Rico, I've been living in Puerto Rico for the last 5 years.
Mhm.
The concerts are a huge thing in the island.
Yes.
They're huge. They're the main event every weekend. So I think that watching all these artists have been like it's been kind of like my hobby. I'm like, oh, one day I'm gonna be like them. So let me watch and learn.
Sounds like it'll be in the near future. I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, congrats on Raise Your Hand. Looking forward to
you.
what's coming. The last question tied in with that.
Yes.
What's the best way to find out about all the projects when it's time to find out about them? Is it your Instagram?
Yes, definitely. Jearnest Corchado at Jearnest Corchado. They
Jearnest?
can watch it there, and hopefully, I always talk about this is the journey. So whoever wants to, come along and join the journey, they're welcome to join it at Jearnest Corchado.
Paltrocast.